Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and tonight you're listening to Under Influence, and we're speaking with drummer Raleigh Devore. Am I pronouncing your name right, Raleigh?
Raleigh Devore, yeah, sounding good, man.
Okay, now you're a seasoned veteran of the tribute scene. Now, some people may know you from the Who generation, and you were telling me the other day you also play with Kenny Metcalf, who does a great Elton John tribute, and you've played with Sin City Kiss in Las Vegas, and then I guess one of your other projects we're talking to you about tonight is a new LA-based Kiss tribute band called Co-Ed Kiss. Do you want to start the interview off telling us how you got involved with Co-Ed Kiss?
Well, it began, I guess, a couple years ago. The band was kind of an outgrowth of a couple different projects that were going on, mainly from the all-female Kiss tribute band Priss. My dear friend Sharon Needles called me, I guess it was a couple years ago, and their drummer Judy was unable to make a show that they were doing out in South Dakota.
Okay.
And she rang me up and said, would you be interested in possibly sitting in with the band? And I said, oh, hell yeah. I've had a fantasy about playing in Kiss and the Who and all these tribute bands that I'm playing in now, as a kid. And I said, sure. Right after I got off the phone with her, just on a whim, I got onto eBay and looked for a pearl chrome drum set or something similar to what Peter Criss was playing. And there was a guy in Florida that had like a rather large chrome pearl drum kit for $350, almost a dead ringer to the kit that Peter played during the Love Gun tour.
Wow.
And there were no bids. And I bid on it, got it. And it's the kit that I'm playing in the Kiss tributes to this day. So anyway, eventually I started fitting in with the band just as a guest drummer, and it was such a great vibe between the girls and myself. And as you mentioned earlier, I also play in Sin City Kiss, which is a Las Vegas based Kiss tribute band. Both bands, just last October, Priss and Sin City Kiss, were hired to play a pre-party for the Kiss Cruise in Miami, Florida.
Oh wow, how cool!
And, yeah, it was, and I was going on the Kiss Cruise anyway, so it worked out really good. And at the time, Sin City Kiss was having trouble figuring out which Ace Frehley they were going to use because there's scheduling problems and so on and so forth. So I said, well, listen, Jennifer Porro from Priss is going to be there. Why don't we use her with Sin City Kiss?
Wow.
And we did, and it came off wonderfully well. And so there's been kind of, this kind of going back and forth with using male and female Kiss tribute band members.
Yeah.
So anyway, after Jennifer and I rehearsed with the City Kiss band one night, we said, we're both playing in bands that have members that are out of state. Priss's drummer Judy lives in Arizona, which is where I fill in for them here. And my band is in Las Vegas. But you know what? We've got some of us here in Southern California. What if we put together a Kiss tribute band with 2 males and 2 females? Nobody's ever done it before.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours, our friend Jennifer, said, kind of half seriously, half jokingly, hey, you could call the band Co-Ed Kiss.
Yeah.
And we went, wait a minute, this sounds good.
Yeah.
So the band consists right now of myself, of Rocco Fonzarelli, who's been in numerous Kiss bands around town. Moa Hendrickson is playing Doll Stanley, and Jennifer is playing Lace Frehley. And we've rehearsed a few times, and it sounds amazingly good, particularly the vocals. And we thought, it'll be something we could celebrate with the Kiss fans. Girls will have something to look at, guys will have something to look at. And we have our first show this Friday night, for those of you who are hearing this before February 20th, 2015, in Long Beach, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, when I was talking to your bandmate Rocco the other night, I was telling him, Co-Ed Kiss, just the concept, 2 girls and 2 guys, it's such a great concept. I'm surprised, the man Gene Simmons himself never, put together a project like this, even for a reality show or something, It's just kind of taken Priss to the next step. Priss is very unique because, again, they're an all-female band, so they got that going for themselves, that element. But then this has kind of taken it, the co-ed thing, to the next level. And I think it's just such a great original concept because a lot of times tribute bands need to have a little niche, as you say. And I mean, because let's be honest. There's thousands of Kiss tribute bands, not just in L.A. and the surrounding states, but worldwide. And like anything, the cream rises to the top, and the bands that suck, they fall by the wayside. So sometimes it helps to have a little extra niche. And I think you guys are on to something really great. And I can't wait to see the band perform at their first show this coming Friday.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that. When we kind of came up with the idea, we thought, well, is anybody going to buy this? Is anybody going to be interested in it? But the feedback we've gotten from just the idea of it has been fantastic. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And anything that's special has to be different. Anything that stands out, you have to be a little bit different. And so, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. In fact, we were rehearsing last night in L.A., and we took a break in between the sets, and Rocco walked out to the parking lot and did a demonstration of his fire breathing, which he's going to be trying to show. And it's unbelievable to see. And I don't. Every other Kiss band I played in around town, nobody's done the fire breathing. Well, there's the fire laws too.
Yeah. There is that.
Too.
Yeah.
There's that too. But it's going to be absolutely wild. So, and you'll hear all the hits: Detroit Rock City, Rock and Roll All Night. We'll run the gamut, God of Thunder, and so hopefully the Kiss fans will dig it as much as we love doing it.
Yeah, and so as far as coming up with the set list, how did you guys do that? Because obviously, you got to play the hits, but Rocco was telling me from time to time, like you said, he's been to various Kiss tributes, and he said, he goes, every so often I like to throw in a kind of an oddball, like maybe something from the 80s, like from Smash Thrash hits, like, maybe You Make Me Rock Hard or something like that, or something off of Unmasked. So how do you guys, were you all involved in coming up with the set list?
Well, it kind of depends on who the audience is. When both bands played in Florida, and Chris actually ended up playing on the Kiss Cruise, and I just need to give them a plug too, because they've been so great to me. They've been on, listeners have probably seen them on the Gene Simmons Family Jewels television show. Yeah. And for the last 2 years, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have hired them to play on the Kiss Cruise. And they were amazing. I was on the cruise this year, and they actually played all of Alive.
Wow.
And all of Dress to Kill. I mean, all the rare stuff you never hear, like Lover All I Can.
Yeah.
Ladies in Waiting, Room Service. They were doing all that stuff. Sin City Kiss, we did a couple that I don't think I've heard Kiss do live in a while, unless you're on the Kiss Cruise playing for the fans that like the rare stuff. We did World Without Heroes.
Wow.
Which sounded amazing. And we also did Then She Kissed Me from Love Gun, which is old 50s tune that Kiss covered.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the audience. If we know the diehard Kiss fans are there, we're going to pull out the rare ones, so everybody will go, oh, that was so cool, and just to make it special.
Yeah, so Raleigh, you're kind of, like I said, a veteran of a tribute scene. I mean, what's interesting is, talking to guys like you and Rocco, and even doing research for these interviews of the different bands that I've talked with, is, guys like yourself have been playing on the scene for, many, several years now, and, the name Rocco Fonzarelli or, Jordan Zoolander from, Cheapest Trick, or, Kenny Metcalf, Raleigh Devore. You guys are like veterans of the scene, and your names are almost as infamous as, say, a Gene Simmons. That's why you get steady work. Like, that's why you're in so many bands, I think. Raleigh Devore. Oh yeah, he plays in the Who generation. Oh, he's done Sin City Kiss. Oh yeah, this guy's all over the place, but he can play it all.
Oh, well, you're very sweet to say that. Thank you. I think the catalyst to a lot of what I'm involved in now and playing in all the tribute bands, which is just so much fun, because you've got the fans that love the music, and you get to sort of live out the fantasy of pretending to be Keith Moon or Peter Criss or Nigel Olsson. But I'll tell you, the catalyst for me has been, I think, appearing on the World's Greatest Tribute Band, the Access TV show, which is hosted by Katie Darrell.
Of course.
Which is now going into its 5th season. If there's any tribute band fans or classic rock fans, you really should check out this show. The people that have been on the show, we've kind of become this big sort of extended family, and a lot of us go to the tapings at the Whiskey, the live tapings at the Whiskey, and we've all been able to contact with Kenny Metcalf, and he's kind of a neighbor here in Orange County.
Yeah.
And that's the latest one that I've added to my
repertoire.
We have 20 shows booked this year already. Going to be playing all over the states. And my band, The Who Generation, is also part of a. They were on the television show also, although we were called a different name at the time. We had a singer change and a slight name change. We're doing an album which is part of the CD series that's come out in conjunction with the World's Greatest Tribute Bands. And we're in the studio with a guy named Michael Blum, who's recorded a lot of Madonna's early stuff, like A Prayer, Michael Jackson, Julian Lennon. He recorded some of Cheap Trick's early stuff. And he also recorded Roger Daltrey's Greatest Hits album. And those rock. And so for Michael to become a fan of what my little, Who tribute band is doing and wanted to do an entire album, we're doing an entire album with him producing.
Yeah.
And we've been working on it for a few months and really looking forward to that. And that's just a total Twilight Zone. I mean, I never dreamed of something like that as a kid.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought all that up because, I mean, number one thing I really love about the tribute bands is there's, like you said, there's almost like a fraternity among the bands where, you guys seem to really be into helping out each other and like, oh, hey, we're looking for an opening band for our gig. Can you guys, you want guys to be added to the bill or whatever? Or, even going down to see somebody being part of a great tribute, TV show. That's a great thing that I've seen. I mean, even talking about that TV show, that's kind of a pinnacle now for a lot of bands. I mean, I seen Kenny Metcalf, when he first appeared on the show, and then just last season he came back and he did kind of like a dueling piano thing with this other guy. They had a Elton John, Billy Joel kind of dueling piano thing. I thought, man, that was just so cool.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that at the Orange County Fairgrounds this summer. I don't have the exact date, but be looking for that. That's going to be a really big show.
Yeah.
In the words of Ed Sullivan, that was a fun one. And for a lot, I mean, thank goodness for YouTube, you can go see a lot of early footage of like Led Zeppelin and the original Who and so on and so forth. But you can't really go see these bands live as they were anymore. So if you want to get a feeling and a flavor for what it was like in that period of music, which is really, I mean, they call it classic rock, but it really was a very powerful time for music, and I think it's stuff that's going to last for centuries. And much like the Legend show in Las Vegas, where you've got people doing Elvis and Marilyn Monroe and so on and so forth, I think this is the new generation of that. This is like, kind of walking in the footsteps of, recreating these magical musical moments of the past, and to be just a small part of it is amazing. And I found, too, that some of the bands that get portrayed really, really appreciate it. I've had the chance to meet the Who singer Roger Daltrey a couple times. And the first time I mentioned that I was doing a Who tribute band, and he said, hey, I want to thank you very much for doing that, because you're helping keep the music alive.
Yeah.
The second time I met him, I was actually had a chance to play with him at the Rockstar Fantasy Camp at Las Vegas.
Wow.
and he stepped on the little stage there, and he didn't know which songs the bands were going to do.
Yeah.
And I had brought the synthesizer tracks for Baba O'Reilly.
Wow.
And I kicked it off, and he started looking around, and we rehearsed it, and right in the middle of the song, he walked over to the drum set and said, "Great drums." And I was like, thank you.
Wow.
And I was like freaking out. And we finished the song, and he was really sweet. I had a chance to talk to him a little bit beforehand, and he was making sure not to shake anybody's hands because he was right in the middle of the Who's Quadrophenia tour and didn't want to get sick and lose his voice.
Wow.
And he walked over to me and said, listen, I just wanted to let you know, really great drums, really tight, just complimented me over, and then shook my hand.
Yeah, I mean, the Who, that's one of my all-time favorite bands. I mean, and even, Pete Townsend, just what a great writer. I mean, you take a song like, Won't Get Fooled Again. I mean, there's just that iconic scream in the song is like, wow, and it just takes you to another level. And it's interesting, those are songs that were written almost, 40, 50 years ago, and they still, stand the test of time. I mean, they'll still be playing on the radio today, and, there's something to be said for that.
It's really timeless, yeah. And you still hear, you know, those songs being used in the CSI television series, and it still sounds fresh. It still sounds good. It doesn't sound, you know, a lot of the stuff, like I listen to the 70s channel on Sirius XM, and I love all that stuff, but a lot of it sounds very dated, and the Who, Zeppelin, the Beatles, all that classic, Elton John, even Kiss, you know, it all sounds fresh. It sounds competitive with stuff that's out there now, and frankly quite better than a lot of the stuff that's out there now. So to be able to just fan the flame and carry on, you know, carry that on with doing the tribute thing is just, yes, I feel very lucky to be able to do it, and it's just great fun.
Yeah, because, you know, even a band like Kiss, I mean, people can say what they want about, you know, Kiss being over the top or whatever they want to say, but even if you just listen to the song, it's such great songwriting. I mean, all the songs that, you know, great hooks, especially when you consider, okay, here's a band that's been doing it over 40 years. This is like their 40th year they've been doing it, you know, professionally. And when you figure out, you know, all the live albums, compilations, whatever, they got over like 30 something albums, and they're still writing new, you know, fresh material. You know, people love it or they hate it, but I mean, can you imagine putting out that body of work and still being able to write new music and, you know, keep it sounding fresh?
It makes me very happy to see that they're still out there rocking. I would have never guessed. I mean, when I was like 12, I went to see Kiss for the first time, and Cheap Trick opened for them. And I would never have guessed, like, and they were recording a live 2 albums when they were playing at the LA Storm years ago. I would have never guessed at my age that they would still be out playing and rocking. And to be able to go and see them, and, you know, and there's some great Cheap Trick, like you mentioned, Jordan from
Cheapest Trick,
Cheapest Trick, yeah. I just met him at the NAMM show recently. He went to see his band, and he's excellent. And Robin Zander's not a easy vocal to pull off.
Yeah.
And he was doing a wonderful job. But it makes me very happy to kind of have that sort of connection with my youth, and to be able to sort of, you know, pretend to be Peter Criss for the night, and do the God of Thunder drum solo and all that stuff, and have people, you know, cheering and, you know, wanting to take pictures and stuff like that. I mean, it's really wonderful. And
let me ask you, Roy, you know, like a lot of guys, I'm sure you've been a professional musician, you know, a lot of your, you know, for a lot of your, you know, years, and when you first started, and you probably did the original music thing, like I understand you're still doing to this day, but when you first, you know, got approached about doing a tribute band or whatever, did you have any reservations, or, you know, what was your attitude immediately when you got the offer to first join one of these tribute bands?
I jumped at it. I have a couple replicas of Keith Moon's drum kit.
Wow.
Drummer.
Okay.
And I actually bought the drum kit before I even knew there was a Who tribute band around.
Yeah.
And the first one that I went to see, I was pretty impressed, particularly with the guitar player and the bass player in this band. I'll mention that the bass player was a friend of mine, Mike Bish.
Okay.
And the guitar player was Darren Lolk. And I contacted them the next day after seeing them in Huntington Beach, and kind of just jokingly said, hey, you know, if you ever need a drummer, and if anybody's seen me, I look kind of like Rob Halford.
Okay.
So when I'm doing, you know, the music tribute thing, it's costumes and wigs and the whole thing. You know, it's like doing musical theater. But anyway, I said to them, I said, hey, if you ever need a drummer, I'll put on a wig. Just give me a buzz. And a few weeks later, they said, well, we think the band is cracking, or is starting to split up. Would you like to get together and play? And I got together and played with them, and it was just absolutely magical. And that band split up, and my first Who tribute band was called My Generation.
Wow, okay.
And it lasted for a few years, in sort of, you know, 2006, 2007, right in there. But as soon as I heard that it would be possible to play all this Who music that I grew up and loved, because I'd never played much of it in a cover band before, because it's very complex, and the drumming is just absolutely crazy to do. I jumped at it right away,
and so, like, obviously, you know, Keith Moon, he was anybody seen any, you know, anything on YouTube, any of those classic Who videos or live performances, he was a real physical drummer. So, I mean, when you first started, you know, I guess you say portraying Keith Moon or playing his drum parts. How hard was that to learn? You know, all those physical moves. I mean, again, you know, if you watch the guy, he was a real physical player.
Yeah, it was tricky before video, especially. There was a Who documentary called Kids Are All Right that came out in 1979, right after Keith Moon died, and that helped a lot because he was doing things like he had his ride cymbal over his hi-hat, and just the way he played was just very unorthodox and very strange. And he was very influenced by a lot of the surf drumming records, like Wipeout and stuff like that. And so that made it a bit easier. When I was a kid, I was listening to basically the Who and To Kiss Alive, so and the drum riffs, you know. And I kind of got interested in playing drums after seeing. Well, actually, I was an Elton John fan. Interesting enough, you know, playing Kenny Metcalf fan. But I went to go see the Who's Tommy Rock Opera movie because I was an Elton John fan.
Okay.
And I saw Keith Moon playing drums in it, and I knew I wanted to be in a rock band, but I wasn't sure what instrument. And just seeing how flamboyant and just wild he was, I was just like, it just totally struck a chord with me. And at the time, I was going to St. Catherine's Military School in Anaheim.
Wow.
Not because I was a bad kid.
Yeah.
My mother was kind of enamored with military men at the time, and she ended up having a couple of them. But anyway, they would have us march in the afternoon under the hot sun, except for when it was too hot, they would have the drum light stand in the corner of the field under the trees in the shade. And so I thought, you know what, if I play drums, I could get out of marching, and I can join a rock band someday. So that was my move. So I asked my mother for a marching snare drum, joined the band, and haven't been since. And
so now Peter Criss is kind of a, you know, other end of a drumming spectrum. I mean, where we're saying like Keith Moon is kind of a real physical, all over the place kind of player, whereas Peter Criss, he kind of just sits in the back. A lot of his drumming is like jazz fills and stuff, and he kind of just sits there and keeps a beat. Maybe a little bit more of a showman, but not as much to the level of Keith Moon. So, like, did it take you a while to learn how to play like Peter?
It did, and some of his stuff, you know, he's actually kind of busy, but when he does a lot of tom-tom work, it sounds kind of like, I can refer to it as sort of jungle drums.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you listen to Watching You and even the kind of drumming that he does in some of like 100,000 Years and stuff like that, it's very, I don't know, I hear George of the Jungle, it's kind of tribal and some of it's very jazzy, some of the cowbell work that he does, even on Deuce, and he had a good, his drumming on Kiss Alive I thought was just superb. And, I think he's underrated, and he's a great rock and roll singer. I mean, that sort of gravelly Rod Stewart-ish voice that he has.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because he's a lot of people tend to think of him more of a lead singer than necessarily a drummer. I mean, even the Kiss guys, they said that I've read in several of their books and stuff where they say Peter had a real problem like keeping time, and he couldn't really read music. We had to kind of help him. But so as a drummer, like, what do you think of his playing? I mean, when you hear his stuff, do you hear about what the other guy's saying? He has trouble keeping time.
Well, in some of the, if you YouTube some of the videos in the 70s, he's speeding things up a little bit, and like on Alive 2, the songs are a little bit rushed and so on and so forth. But as far as his when he's in the pocket, you know, I really, you know, love that sort of jazzy kind of loose hi-hat thing he's got going on. Eric Singer's an amazing drummer too. He's just very, very clean and sharp and precise, and Eric Carr was amazing. I mean, they're all different, but the thing I liked about Kiss and those early classic Kiss albums was it was kind of like getting a Beatles album. You'd get, you know, different songs from all the members singing it. It made the albums interesting to listen to. And but you know, Kiss's new album, Monster, is great. I mean, there's some great songs on that.
I'm glad to hear you. I'm glad to hear you say that, because, you know, that's one thing as a Kiss fan that I really picked up on early on, that I really loved about the band, is that, you know, you didn't just have one guy doing all the lead singing. You know, Gene and Paul were the main singers, but you'd get a Peter track and an Ace track here and there, and even some other guys, you know, that joined later on, like Eric Carr and even Eric Singer. they got to sing lead. So that's one thing I always kind of admired about the band.
Yeah, and no offense to Gene and Paul, but that Tommy Fair song, "Out of This World," that's my favorite song on the new Kiss album. Yeah, those guys are really good, and they're not in the most easy position to be in because I kind of understand the hardcore fans. Well, it's not Peter and Ace and stuff like that, but I would rather have some version of Kiss to go on the cruise with than none at all. And those guys, I think, do a really excellent job doing the playing the Catman and the Spaceman. I mean, I understand everybody's point of view in a way, but some Kiss is better than no Kiss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, even the new Monster album, like you're saying, I kind of dig some of that stuff, and I really dig the Eric Singer track, "All for the Love of Rock and Roll." Interestingly enough, that's a song that Paul wrote. He had nothing to do with the writing, but that's kind of a cool thing too. Okay, we want to give Eric, this is a song we think fits what Eric can do, and but at the same time, Paul wrote it for him.
Yeah, Eric Singer. I had gone to the right off the Kiss after the Kiss cruise. I went to to see the Kiss residency in Las Vegas because my band Sin City Kiss was actually playing at the same time, which is great because we got a lot of fans from Kiss's show at the Hard Rock. They come over and to some of our shows afterwards. But anyway, Eric Singer was amazing. I mean, doing stick tricks, and I'd never really seen him go off like he did. And he had this amazing clear drum set with lights built into it.
Oh yeah,
like they'd light up when he hit them and stuff like that. And I was like, oh hell, I think I'm gonna. I mean, I already have like a lot of drum sets, but I was like, oh hell, that might be my next one. And then I could use it for co-ed Kiss too.
I mean,
not that I need anymore, but
I seen Kiss on their last two tours, with Motley Crue and then Def Leppard, and both those shows were just phenomenal. And what I went away with is, okay, I definitely got, I finally definitely got a night to, rock and roll night to remember. I was just blown away by both of those bands, Kiss, Def Leppard, Kiss, Motley Crue, and the thing I went away with was I couldn't really figure out, which band was better, I mean, they were both great sets, and I left feeling that, neither band disappointed. I mean, Kiss probably had a little more pyrotechnics than the other bands, but overall, the last two tours, I just thought was phenomenal what they did.
Yeah, I saw the Def Leppard Kiss show at the Forum, and they were both amazing. And Rick Allen, Def Leppard's drummer, oh my gosh, I mean, he's making all that noise
with one arm.
With one arm, I mean, it's they sound now.
Yeah, and then and on top of that, and then if you consider the fact that their guitar player Vivian Campbell was also suffering with cancer, I'm like, man, that dude does not look. He had his head shaved or whatever, he's totally bald, but so am I. But I mean, he did not look like he was suffering from cancer. I mean, God bless him, but I just could not believe it. Man, that guy had all the energy in the world. He was playing like, his life depended on it. Maybe it, did.
Yeah, he was amazing, and I did the meet and greet with the band beforehand, and he wasn't able to make it because I think he was having some sort of treatment that day.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And came up on stage and just knocked it out of the even be able to tell there was anything wrong with him. So. Yeah, and
now you're mentioning Sin City Kiss, which of course is a Las Vegas based tribute band, and I've interviewed Lewis, who's the Gene Simmons in that band, and he's a totally great guy. He from what I understand, he does like things like I think he's a minister, and he actually takes parts in Kiss weddings, the mini Kiss golf, and I understand that the band recently put on a residency. Did you take part in that residency as far as the Sin Kitty Sis residency?
They did two. They did one at Planet Hollywood, and at the time I was moving,
okay,
so I wasn't able to take place in that one. But they just did one at Vince Neil's club and restaurant.
Yeah, I heard about that. Wow.
Circus. And I was there with them for the month of November, and then Vince hired us to play New Year's Eve in Las Vegas, which was just crazy, amazing fun. And I'm sure we'll be back there again. Great place that Vince Neil has there. And it's an honor to be, liked by him and hired by him to play.
And so, did you get a chance to talk much with Vince? What was he like to meet?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Vince Neil, I was wondering, what was he like to meet? Did you get a chance to talk to him much?
No, I have not. The rest of the band has met him.
Okay.
I have not met him yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I met Nicky 6 years ago when I was doing sound at the club called Man and Wong's West in Santa Monica. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Super person. I ran into him twice in the same week. It was very strange.
Wow.
But yeah, Nicky's the only one that I met.
And as far as, Co-Ed Kiss, you guys have your first show coming up here Friday. And like we were talking about earlier, Kiss is a band where each guy kind of gets to sing now. Obviously, Gene and Paul are the main two lead singers. But for your show, you guys, might we see you doing singing lead on a Peter track or something that night?
You certainly will, and you will also hear, I'm not going to give it away, but you will hear a very rare Ace Frehley Kiss track that Kiss, I don't think, has ever played live before.
I'll have to keep our eyes on that, and yeah.
I think you'll dig it.
Wow. And so, how much do you enjoy? Because you also told me that you do some of your own original music still, but people can check out on iTunes. So my question is, how much do you enjoy, like in Co-Ed Kiss and these other Kiss tributes, getting the ability to sing lead on a track or two during the performance, as well as just keeping a beat?
Oh, it's good. Well, actually, the Kiss band is the only one that I'm singing lead on, because Keith Moon with The Who would sing a little bit of background vocals.
But that's it, yeah.
I would do background vocals with Elton John. But yeah, the Kiss thing's been great. I've done, of course, Beth, Black Diamond, Hard Luck Woman, and also, you might know the track Getaway.
Oh, yes. Dress to Kill, yeah.
Yeah, Getaway, that's another one of those rare ones that we still know.
And what a lot of people may not...
That may be my favorite one to sing.
And what a lot of people may not know about that Dress to Kill track, Getaway, is that back in the early days of Kiss, I guess, I've heard in several interviews now where Ace has said, he wasn't as confident as a singer back in those days, and I guess other guys, even Peter on the debut album, was singing lead and stuff, and he would write. That's why I like Cold Gin. That's an Ace track, but he gave it to Gene to sing, as he didn't think he could do it. And then even look at Hotter Than Hell, Strange Ways, he gave that to Peter. So it's kind of interesting that those early Kiss tracks were written by Ace, but they're some of the heavier stuff that the band ever did.
I remember reading the magazines about the first Ace Frehley, song that was going to be I Loved It, which of course shocked me.
Yeah.
And I remember distinctively putting the needle on the record, listening to it. Ace Frehley, I think he has a very cool singing voice.
Uh-huh.
And I just saw him live at the House of Blues in Anaheim just fairly recently, and he just blew the place up. I mean, he was amazing. He's still on fire.
He can do certain things. Like I said, he's got a unique singing voice. But like I remember when I heard that first Frehley's Comet album, the track "Rock Soldiers" that was released as a single. He wrote about being in that car accident. Man, it was so Ace, and it just every word fit. That's one of those tracks that I just to this day just love, because it's just such a great Ace song.
Yeah, that's a good album with Todd Howard.
Yeah.
Some of the songs on there. And, all good stuff.
And you're saying you recently saw Ace in Anaheim at the House of Blues. I didn't get a chance to see that, but I was going to ask you. I was reading reviews, and it said, he let some of the other guys in his band sing. Was as somebody going to a show, is that something you kind of enjoyed, getting to see other band members, sing lead on a track or two?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his drummer, and I've met him. In fact, he was playing in Sin City Kiss for a while.
Oh, Scott Coogan. He actually used to be in Brides of Destruction with Nikki Sixx and Tracy Guns. That's the guy.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, his name is Scott Coogan.
Scott, of course.
And he's playing with Fleet of Four now.
Excuse me, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Coogan was also at the Rockstar Fantasy Camp when I played with Roger Daltrey. Super, super nice guy, and man, that guy is not only an amazing drummer, but an amazing singer. He's singing Love Gun.
Yeah.
Like there's no tomorrow. He was a lot of those Paul songs. Ace lets him sing, and man, really, really amazing.
And Raleigh, you were bringing up the tribute band thing. I agree with you, but I like to look at it. Or I kind of call it rock and roll theater, because just look at what you do. I mean, you're playing. It goes beyond just getting on stage and, oh, we're just going to do an hour of Who music or an hour of Kiss music or whatever. I mean, like, especially in Kiss, the Kiss tribute band that you do, Co-Ed Kiss and other ones. It's more than just getting up on stage and playing. I mean, you got to dress the part of Peter Criss. You got to put on that makeup. So I want to talk a little now about like the first time you ever got dressed up like Peter Criss. How long did it take you to get that costume and the makeup on, and to really look the part where you felt like, okay, confident that you could go on stage and perform?
Well, I'd actually been dressing up as Gene Simmons for several years before that.
Wow.
So as far as getting the makeup on, I kind of had a feel for it. The first show I did with Chris, we played in, I believe it was in Fullerton at the Slide Bar. Super cool place. They had a lot of tribute bands there. And my girlfriend helped me put it on the first time. And then I started doing it afterwards. And Lewis and Steve Mitchell from Sin City Kiss in Las Vegas were very, very helpful in sort of giving me hints about how to powder and stuff like that. But it takes a long time, folks, especially the Catman, because I think that's the most, because there's the whiskers and you have to line it off and it has to be symmetrical. It takes me about 2.5 hours to get it all on.
Wow. And so...
Yeah. And then once it's on, I don't want to take it off.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times after shows, I'll go like walk into a Denny's.
Yeah.
In full outfit, full costume, just to like see people, kind of blow their minds, because, Peter Criss doesn't usually walk into Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 or whatever, So, that's another side fun thing about it.
Yeah, and then a lot of people might they know those faces. I mean that's why, like I was talking with Rocco, Kiss is one of these bands where, I mean, everything, even down to the faces, are are copyrighted and thing, and that's not something you have with a typical rock band. And where like I could see you walking into Denny's late at night, and people kind of thinking, oh, that's the drummer from Kiss. They don't even know Peter Criss is no longer in a band, or they have no idea that maybe you're from a Kiss tribute band. What's a tribute band? They might think you're an actual guy. And Rocco gets that all the time, as I'm sure you've seen when you're with him. I mean,
oh yeah,
he goes out as Gene Simmons. People want to get their picture taken with him. It's just, again, taking it to the next level. And like I was telling Rocco the other day when we were talking, I mean, only Kiss fans could have this fantasy growing up, and because of your love of Kiss, you join a band, you play their music, you dress like the guys in the band, and you're actually able to make a living and have fun doing it,
To Kiss, I got to tell you, as far as dressing up, the Kiss, Co-Ed Kiss, Sin City Kiss, that's the funnest one, definitely, because you look larger than life, and to coin a phrase from an old Rare Kiss song, I feel like too, but that's definitely, the Kiss one theatrically is definitely the funnest. The Who one is real fun too. I mean, because Moon is a very theatrical drummer, but visually, nobody's going to top Kiss.
Yeah, and then
there's a timelessness to it too. Those guys now, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Tommy and Eric, they put the makeup on, and it's timeless. It's still the Star Child, the Demon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when they're up in makeup, and in costume, you can't necessarily see all the wrinkles they got. And like you said, but it is what it is, and people still love it. So you got to love that. And I got to tell you, Raleigh, you tell me like when you're not in the makeup, you look like Rob Halford. But I got to tell you, when I was looking at the pictures on your Facebook page where you're dressed up as Peter, man, I swear I'm looking at Peter Criss. You know what I mean? It's that good. So.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
What I want people to understand is, these are just more of an, these guys that play in tribute bands is more than just, guys getting up on stage and playing other people's music. Like I said, what we're talking about here is really rock and roll theater. You're playing the music, you're dressing the part. See, to me, that's the difference between a tribute band and a cover band. A cover band is just a bunch of guys, 4 or 5 guys in jeans and t-shirts getting up on stage. But you guys are taking, even like with the Who tribute, you guys are dressing like Pete Townsend and Keith Moon. You're looking the part as closely as possible as you can. And so when people come to see the show, they kind of have an expectation of what they're getting.
Yeah, just a little, little theater of the mind, and that's the whole point of the whole tribute band, is to take you back to that
And let me ask you, what's going on with the Who generation? The reason I asked is, like I was telling you, I'd interviewed your bandmate Larry Hampton, last year sometime, and he gave me a great interview. But he's done, like you, all these other tribute bands, Mick Adams and the Stones. At the time I interviewed him, it was still being called the Who Review. So I was curious, why did you guys change the name? Because it almost seemed like the Who Review went away and nobody really knew what happened to you guys.
Well, it had to do with our singer, the singer from the Who Review moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And he's been really busy out there with mainly with this one band that he has, and he's on Fremont Street, and we certainly wish him the best. But because of there was obviously the distance thing, and we were wanting to play some shows out here that he really wasn't making himself available for. So we thought it would be best to let him do his thing, and we actually got a new singer named Stephen Chereau, who's absolutely amazing. In fact, he starred in a local production of Quadrophenia a few years ago called Quad, and he played, for those Who fans that are familiar with the Quadrophenia album, he played Jimmy the Mod in the play. And I'd seen him sing a few years ago, and it was just absolutely, he just knocked my socks off. And we actually ended up doing a show in Las Vegas with my original Who band, My Generation. And so when it came time to get a new singer, he was the guy to ring up. And fortunately, he was available, and we did our first show at the Coach House back late last year, opening for Which One's Pink. And we got a huge standing ovation at the end of the set. And so we thought, this is the man for us. And he came into the studio with Michael Blum, who's doing the World's Greatest Tribute Band TV series, and just blew him away. So we are in the midst of doing that album. In fact, we're back in the studio next week. We're going to be in El Paso, Texas in March.
Wow.
At the Speaking Rock. And then we've got a couple summer shows lined up, and another one possibly hovering in the LA area sometime in March, but that one isn't set in stone yet. But anybody that's interested, feel free to look up the Who Generation or Co-Ed Kiss on Facebook, and you will find us immediately, and we hope that we'll find you at a show soon.
And so let me ask you, the show you guys have coming up Friday, you've got a couple other great tribute bands on there. Project UFO, which obviously the great UFO tribute. I think they're fairly new too. I think this is going to be their first ever show. And then we have a great Whitesnake tribute band, Burn, which I've interviewed those guys, and they just seem like a really great band. I mean, and they got a nice thing going that there's not any Whitesnake tributes out here, but I'm even aware of. So I'm interested in how they perform, Friday. So you guys are the headliner. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, we'll be closing the show and headlining there. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing all those other bands too. So, should be a really, really fun night. And looking forward to meeting you in person. Yeah.
And do you have any idea how long you guys are going to be on stage for?
We, I believe we're playing between 45 minutes and an hour.
Okay.
And really, really looking forward to it. Everybody in the band, we all get along great. And in case there's anybody wondering out there, you've got two girls in the band, is it going to be Moa Hendrickson, who plays the Star Child, and Jennifer Perot are two of the best Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley's around. Possibly the best. I'm a little biased because I'm in a band with them.
Yeah.
But they are really, really, and of course have been recognized by Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And hired by them, so I feel very lucky to be playing with them. And Rocco Bonzarelli, he's just amazing and a really, really sweet guy. And it's just good vibes all around. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. Yeah,
and I got to tell people that anybody questions the musicianship in this band. I mean, I've talked to all these musicians. And they've all got experience, and especially Mo Hendrickson. I mean, I recently interviewed her for an online magazine called Chaotic Risk that I interviewed people for, and we were talking not about Pris so much, but she's got this other original project called Dead Heroin. It's just a great original, full-blown on metal act. So anybody that thinks, this is somebody that's just getting up there and playing somebody else, no, she's definitely got the talent as well as the other musicians in the band. this is just something you guys do for fun, and you get to make a living and do, and have fun at the same time, which is really what the tribute thing is all about.
Absolutely, yeah. Moa's got her new band has Dead Heroin has their new EP just came out within the last week, and I actually, after you mentioned some of my original stuff, I got when I was younger, I got really interested in the way Peter Townsend wrote and produced songs for The Who to record. He would record demos of the songs that he'd written and played all the instruments himself.
Wow, yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I could do that. So when I was in my teens, I bought a guitar and a bass, and through the years, I've kind of done what Dave Grohl has done. I've sort of fronted my own bands playing guitar, and I've got an album's worth of original material on iTunes. It's just singles. It's not, I just decided to put it and release it that way.
Yeah.
And it's me playing and singing everything.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I could talk to you all night, Raleigh. Before I let you go, though, I want to ask you a couple other things. And before I forget, when we were set up the interview, you'd also mentioned that you'd done some acting in some major motion pictures. You want to talk at all about some of the pictures you appeared in, or tell us how you got into acting?
Yeah, I don't really consider myself an actor, but when I was younger, my sister, Heather Haas, was a 80s child actor, and she was in a few movies. She was in The Burbs with Tom Hanks and Corey Feldman.
Cool.
And did a ton of TV commercials and stuff like that. So I never wanted to be an actor, but when I was in my late teens, just to make extra money, I did just kind of extra work. And I'm actually in an early Tom Hanks movie called Bachelor Party.
Oh, of course. Wow.
Party scenes. Yeah, there's a scene where there's these two prom couples walk through the door, and there's this kind of stoner guy that goes, "Hooker's over there, drug is over there," and there's a guy in a sort of a aqua tuxedo with blonde hair. That's me, believe it or not. So I thought this is fun, but when I get older, I don't want to do it right now. When I get older, maybe I'll get into it just for fun.
Yeah.
And so about 5 years ago, just as a kind of an extra day job, for making money, I contacted Central Casting, and they started booking me on little cameo things. I ended up playing drums on CSI New York.
Wow.
And I'm in a scene with Will Ferrell in the movie Blades of Glory. When he does his first skating routine, they keep cutting to a photographer that's kind of looking concerned and gives him a thumbs up. That's me.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then Larry David, who's the co-creator of Seinfeld, he has a show on HBO called Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he was looking for a stand-in for himself. And for those who don't know what a stand-in is, a lot of times when they're getting ready to shoot or they're getting camera angles, we'll have someone who's kind of has a similar look to the actor stand there so they can get the lighting and they don't have to wear the actor out in doing so. So Larry hired me and put me in an episode in season 6. I'm in a scene with him. And this is the craziest thing possibly, or one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
Larry David recently wrote and starred in an HBO movie called Clear History, starring him and Kate Hudson. And he plays a guy named Nathan for the 10 minutes of the film, and then he changes his name to Raleigh Devore.
Wow. How cool is that?
He ended up naming the character after me, and they use my full name at one point in the movie, and it's very surreal to see Kate Hudson, Michael Keaton, J.D. Smoove, all these famous actors say, "Hey, Raleigh," to the rest of them. I mean, it's very sweet of Larry to do. I still can't believe it, and so it's kind of my surreal claim to fame. And I know he did that with the Kramer character on Seinfeld, too. That's based on somebody that he knew named Kramer also. So that to be in that sort of echelon with, one of the greatest comic writers of our time is truly a humbling, amazing honor.
Wow. Well, I tip my hat to you for all that, my friend. But the last thing I want to ask you is, what would you say is your all-time favorite, if it's even possible for you to do this, Kiss album or Who album, as far as, favorite album put on?
Oh, dude, that's a tough one. Yeah, you're right. That's because they're all amazing in their own way, Quadrophenia, Monumental Tommy is amazing. You know what? If I had to take one Who album with me on the desert island, it would probably be the Who Sellout.
Wow,
which was their third album. It's very psychedelic. It has commercials in it that they recorded. the big hit off the album was "I Can See for Miles."
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is probably the highest charting. It is the highest charting Who single. So it would probably be that one. But boy, yeah, I mean, I love them all. They're all amazing, and to get to play that music now is just a real, yeah, it's incredible. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, Raleigh, I could talk to you all night. You gave me a really great interview, and the reason I was asking what your favorite album was by the bands is because I thought it'd be cool. Like when I talked to Rocco the other night, I interviewed him once before, and me and him were kind of having a conversation. And, hey, what's your favorite Kiss album? He told me, well, one of my all-time favorites is Rock and Roll Over. So we kind of had a discussion about that. So I thought, think about what album you'd like to talk a little more about in detail. It could be a Kiss album, Who album, whatever, and we could do a follow-up interview because I'd love to just sit all night and talk to you about Kiss or or all the stuff you're doing, and that'd give us also a chance to talk about how the first show went off for you guys.
That would be awesome, Joe. Really, yeah, totally enjoyed talking to you here, and totally look forward to doing it again sometime soon. That would be great.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'll come down and meet you guys on Friday, and I'll bring you a copy of this just so you can kind of have for your archive, and I'll do the same for Rocco.
Excellent.
So,
excellent. Thank you much, Jason. I really appreciate it.
Okay, you take care, my friend. I promise I'll be in touch. It's been great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Sounds good, brother. Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.